Hello, welcome to a slightly different episode than what we usually do here, but this is kind of a Left for Dead. This is the Tasty Classics mother.
Hello.
And she is in every way a perfect human being and the best mum in the world. Apart from one massive flaw. Can you guess what that is?
I like Renault cars.
Well done. We didn't rehearse that. For some strange reason, I can't get her out of Renaults. Since I was old enough to and knew enough to turn a spanner on a car, I've been kind of fixing the Renaults that she's bought and broken.
Well, I love them. There's lots of features that are really better than other cars, I think.
Okay, go on. Give me one example.
Well, for this one in particular, the key card and.
So you think that's a good thing?
Yeah, because I don't need to put it. It just needs to sit in my pocket, and I can get in and out the car. As soon as I walk away from the car, it automatically locks everything.
What about in your last Scenic where this broke and you had to put a card, a receipt underneath it to get it to read?
They're just little fiddly bits, really, that you have to live with. You know, these things happen.
What's wrong with a key that you turn in the lock?
They're fine, but I think the key card is more advanced, I think.
Well, there you go. It is more advanced, you're right. But yeah, so tons of Renaults. I think you had a Megane first and then a couple of Scenics, a couple of other things. Renault 5 when I was a small child that got written off by a forklift truck when we were all sat in it.
Yeah, I passed my test in the Renault 5.
Fantastic car, by the way.
It was a beautiful little car. And it had little push buttons to open the door. You just push the button.
So good, and, so good.
I did love it, and unfortunately, I didn't have it that long because with two little children in the car, I was waiting.
I was
at a
little
junction.
then.
I think you were in a little chair, you know, the child seat in the front of the car.
Yeah.
And I just waited while these forklift trucks were on the road. And then one started to reverse towards me, and I thought he's bound to see that there's a car there, and he didn't, and he just carried on and he wrote the car off.
Such a shame.
But they took full blame for it, and I didn't have to fight anything. And
that's good.
Everything like that. So it was a shame for the car. And shame for you, Ben, because I think you were in the front of the car.
Yeah, might have got some glass in my 4-year-old hair.
But
and you also had a Renault 11, which I think was one of my favourites. I loved that Renault 11. That was a really, really cool car. But when you got into the Megane, which I think was about a W Reg or something, Renault just went off a cliff in terms of how cool their cars were. Because Renault is one of my favourite manufacturers of all time. But I don't know, 2000-ish, something like that. The Renault Espace F1, one of the best imaginations of cars that you could ever possibly have. I think it was absolutely genius. And a lot of the other cars, even the Mark 1 Espace is definitely something I'd love to get my hands on one day. Plus loads of other Renaults. But these things, these sort of 2000s onwards, constant problems. This car, yeah, so bought this car, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, you were with me.
Yeah, and it worked.
It took ages to find, because I love the colour. It's bronze. It's like brown. Chocolate, really. It's a chocolate colour. But they say it's bronze on the documents. But I really love this colour.
So I was trying to get my mum to buy something like a Volkswagen or something that was just, but adamant that she wanted a bronze Scenic. So we looked everywhere, got one, picked this car up. Since then it's had loads of coolant water pipe problems that were very expensive and very, very hard to fix. It's gone through quite sort of expensive MOTs in the past, lots of bearings, bushes. It's only done 130,000 miles, but it's been like £1,000 for the last MOT, or 800 or so for the last MOT.
Yeah, it was very expensive.
Yeah.
A lot
and then since then, because you like to sort of just take your time on the roads, not a speed demon.
Yeah.
the DPF on this car has clogged up in a big way. And so DPF, this is a 2 litre diesel particulate filter. It catches all the stuff coming out of your exhaust, and the idea is that you floor it and you blow it all back out again in chunks. But 1500 RPM is, I think, your max, what you go to. Well,
I like to be careful and safe on the road and follow all the rules and stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's mad how I was raised, isn't it? But to be like I am. But this thing is clogged to a point where it's a big problem. So we sent it for its MOT and it failed on a tyre and a, I don't know, like a suspension wishbone joint or something. Yeah, something inexpensive-ish.
Really simple, it was simple.
Yeah. And then it failed on these lights on the dashboard. You can't have lights like this on the dashboard that say catastrophic failure, we're all going to die. So we need to fix it because the garage has quoted 1700 quid plus VAT, I think it was, or something around
1800, and that's not including VAT or labour, which it would have put it to about £2,500, which was an incredible amount of money.
A huge amount of money, huge amount of money. So it now falls upon me to do one of two things: either try and fix this car for a huge amount less than that, or we scrap it and we go and look for another car, which would be such a shame because everything else works on the car, doesn't it?
It's fantastic. I love to drive it.
Surprising.
It's got a tom-tom, which is invaluable to me, so I never have to worry about destination, you know, getting to places.
Yeah.
And it's just everything. I love the way it drives. It's quite smooth, even with the warning light on the dashboard saying engine failure.
It won't go above 40 mile an hour, this car. 40 mile an hour is the max speed because it's
hill, but
up a hill.
When down the hill it's just normal. It just drives, I can go 60.
Great, it goes 60. But it's so clogged up, it's really bad. So the garage said, essentially we can fit a new DPF to it. And I thought, brilliant, 300-400 quid, something like that. Great, yeah, let's just do it. There's no aftermarket DPFs for this car, so Renault have essentially put a block on second aftermarket DPFs being made, because for some strange reason they just don't want any being made. It's all a bit confusing on this car. I think the 2 litre diesel's fairly discontinued. I'm not sure, they've gone to the 1.5 diesel now, but yeah, so this DPF, we can't buy one aftermarket. The only place we can buy one from is Renault, which the garage has quoted the correct figure of like 1800 quid plus VAT. Now, the other problem with that is Renault haven't got any. There is none on the shelf, so even if we said yes, go ahead and do it, we'd have to put the order in and pay for it, and it could be months before we actually see that part in our hands. So, and you need to get on the road because the MOT has run out on this car. So either way, we're pretty screwed, but this is where I come in. What I'm going to try and do is take the DPF off this car, and then we're going to go to a place in Ellesmere Port who say that they can blow all the crap out of this DPF, and then we're going to refit it and see if that fixes the problem. This service is about 220 quid, so if we can fix it, we're going to show you guys, so you know, if you've got something similar, you don't have to spend a lot of money, you can go and get your DPF cleaned, and we'll see how much of an easy job it is and see how effective it is.
Yeah.
Let's get it inside and get it on the ramp. It's the heaviest car I've lifted up on here for a while, so that was a little bit nerve-wracking. Right, let's try and locate these bolts, see what we're up against. This thing here is your DPF and CAT all in one unit, which is another reason why it's so expensive. But yeah, so we've got some bolts there, and I think bolts at the top, so I'm going to take this cover off. And then, I don't know if it slides out of there, I don't think it does, so we have to take the rest of it off. Oh my God, where does it come off, surely? Hopefully that just slides out of there. And yeah, somewhere up there, there's going to be some scuff knuckles. Right, let's get after it. So let's look at some positives of this car. The only one I can think of is that my mum likes it. Don't know how well you can see them, but they don't look like they're going to move very easily. So we'll get some plus gas on those. Hopefully we can just send a big, yeah, we can send a long extension from here to get those off. Those two there, and then I'm just going to have a quick Google, see if it does split there. And if it does, I can't believe it's just like a push fitting. It must be. Cool, okay. You've got to have about 500. You've got to have about 500 extensions, but it's just two 10mm bolts, lots of plus gas, and they have come undone. And these other two bolts have come undone, so it's ready to come out. Just got to unclip this sensor and then try and get it apart from this exhaust, which might mean taking the rest of the exhaust off, I don't know. And separating it on the floor. But we'll soon find out. There's a bolt up there somewhere that we could. Ah! Nice. Bit crusty, but it got on, it worked. It's very straightforward to get it to this part here. You've got one connector which is up inside there, and then you've got a little rubber pipe that you've got to take off this thing here, which is all very, very straightforward. But getting the exhaust out of there is a different story. Now, ideally, I would like another one of me to hammer on there while I hammer on there and try and split this, but we can't do it. I'm looking in there, I don't know if this has been crimped on or welded on or something, but I just can't get it to move. And every time I hit it, I'm worrying about inside of here smashing it to bits. So the only thing I can think of doing is cutting the exhaust about there and then getting one of these things from Jim Barrow, which you essentially connect the exhaust with, and then just sort of bolt that up all nicely when it comes back, if they manage to fix it. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to cut the exhaust off with a bit left over, and then we can get this thing out and take it to the specialist. Why is there always one hair left on it? Ah! Uno DPFO. It's hard to believe that this length here is a £2,000 problem, isn't it? Can you believe that's the cause of all your woes?
It's just so, I don't know, it's just, it looks small, doesn't it? Just a small part.
Wouldn't believe it was £2,000, would you? Looking at it.
It doesn't look like £2,000 would work.
No, it doesn't. Right then, let's get in the disco and go to the specialist, yeah?
Still carrying cannabis at a school in East London in 2020. Our community.
It's a whole 24 hours later, and I'm back with the poop shoots. So it's time to stick this back in its hole, like so, and see if it works. Right, she's running. See if there's any big leaks anywhere. Where's the exhaust? There it is. So all of this is steam now coming out of the exhaust because there's a lot of water in there and it's starting to heat up. So we're going to take it for a bit of a road trip and hopefully blow all this steam away. Bit of a road test. And I've got my Autel as well, so we can have a look at a couple of things on the move. The lights are still on because we haven't cleared any codes or anything yet. But there's DPF. How do I do DPF? There you go. European. Straight past it, Renault. It kind of feels better already. Let me just put my foot down here. Not particularly, still in doesn't want to know mode. Right, so let's have a look, see if we can live data, see what we've got. Flow of gas inside the particle filter. We've got a good reading. Soot in the particle filter, £0. That's good, isn't it? Exhaust system flow, particle filter pressure difference, temperature sensor. Wow, 132,000 kilometers since last successful regeneration. Oh my god. Right, try not to fall off that chair. And we're going up this hill. Foot to the floor, and she should be a lot quicker than this. Just doesn't want to go. It's better than it was, definitely better than it was. Still be quicker though, I feel. So let's see what codes we've got and then we'll erase them. Turbocharging pressure too low, particle filter clogged. Yeah, turbocharging pressure low should hopefully be the DC freeze data will be lost, so we should continue. Yeah. Raise codes command sent, perform read codes function to verify. Okay. The turbo not working is hopefully because the exhaust is clogged, so the turbo can't put enough gases through. That's what I was trying to say. Particle filter relative pressure sensor signal incoherence. So, relative pressure sensor signal incoherence. Interesting. I wonder if that's still a bit wet or something. So we've now got a spanner. So let's go up and down the hill again, I think. Okay, yeah, so it didn't like that run up the hill either. Have a go at erasing these again and see what happens. Right, I've just given it a quick Google and it's the little rubber pipe on the side of the DPF, or the thing that's trying to read the signal. So we're going to head back to the workshop and I will have a look. This one there is DF1196. I'll have a look tomorrow and we'll see what's up with that little rubber pipe and see if it's all okay. We're back at it and the big brown slug is on the ramp. So let's get it up even further and have a look at that little rubber pipe, because that's what I think is causing one fault code, and that fault code being present is bringing up the other fault code. Who knows? So let's have a look and find out. The little rubber pipe goes from this port here, and then that's where it starts there, and it goes off up into the engine bay to tell the engine management what this thing's doing. And I think what the gas flow's like or something, or it's measuring the readings, I don't know. Renault's, man. So I've just got the compressor going now. I can't get this pipe out of there. It's chewed the nut up to a point where it's just completely disintegrated. I've had it red hot. It's just welded itself in there, which is a pain. I need to try and sort of blow back through it to make sure this pipe is clear. So I've connected this bit of fuel pipe to the other end of this, and I'm going to try and blow it back through now and just make sure it's all good. So this is the exhaust pressure sensor, so it's telling it what's sort of happening up there, which is all good, and it goes to a sensor like just up there somewhere. It's difficult to see, but you can feel it. So worst case, we can change that sensor if it's been sort of full of soot and stuff. But let's try this first. I've got my airline attached to here. I'm doing it now and it sounds awful. Don't know if you can hear that. It just sounds like it's wet and full of stuff, which is a bit annoying really. So this is a little sensor that's causing all these problems, or is part of the problem or something, I don't know. And this is the rubber pipe. Now, from what I found on Google, quite often these pipes split, yeah? So this one is looking all right. It's not the worst. That's all attached anyway, with a clip. But I've got part numbers there, so I can phone up JB's and see if they can get me one of these and we can put that on. But I'm going to take the pipe off here and I'm just going to clean it up and all that sort of stuff, and we'll see if we could sort this one, you know. Why do new cars even have these? I've just pulled the pipe off, and the instant sort of thing that I noticed is it is wet. It's all wet, which is understandable because it's just had the DPF cleaned. But it should be more dry than that, I would have thought. I don't think it's going to be able to measure stuff as easily if it's all wet. So I'm going to dry it out as best as I can, put some brake cleaner and stuff in there, and then we're going to stick it back on. Okay, I can't get these off. Every time I clear them it comes back on, and I'm just looking at some interesting bits. So time since last regeneration and stuff, they've gone back to 0, which is fantastic. So I think the DPF is nice and clean and it knows it, which is great. And the flow inside the DPF is working really well. And let me find this other one and I'll show you that. Now there's 2 of these pressure sensors, and one of them, as you can see here, is working perfectly. As you can see, I don't know, getting a bit closer, but yeah, you can see it's working. And there's another one, you can see the particulate filter pressure sensor voltage as well briefly. Looks like it's doing stuff when I rev it as well, which is good, but that's not the one I was looking for. Here it is. So the PRO35, again, don't know if you can see that, atmospheric pressure says 991, and when I rev the bollocks off it, it doesn't change a bit. So that is not doing anything, because when you're revving it you should get something, because I think that's what the rubber pipe's connected to, but I'm just going to check on that code. So yeah, I need to put a new one of those on, because the one I put back on it just doesn't seem to be working at all. Jim Bowers have got one for 35 quid though, so let's go get it. Tidy. So here's the box. It's a SEGP S0012, so let's throw it on the car and see if it fixes it. Doesn't like it's up to much, so does it? Okay, back in the Renault. Put the key in the thing. It's all connected down there, so let's see what this thing says. Where's the on button? Check ignition system. Yeah, okay, you already said that. Very frustrating, but when I hit erase codes, you can see it just switches it off and it comes straight back on again. Look, there you go, off and straight back on again. Oh god. So yes, not right. So I'm going to look at the live data again and see what that sensor's doing again. Interestingly, the particle filter pressure sensor voltage does seem to be working. It rises when I rev it up. Now, is the screen dirty? I think that is showing that the sensor's working. I'm not 100% sure because, again, I don't know what I'm fucking doing, but it seems like it's doing something. So that sensor could be working, and I just don't know why it's still giving like a sort of 0 reading. But we're going to carry on looking through. Very interestingly, I've just gone back to that and there is a tiny fluctuation when I press the throttle. Again, it's only moving a very, very tiny amount, but it wasn't moving at all before, so I don't know, I'm going to keep on looking. So I'm back up the hill again, and it felt like I had loads of power coming up the hill then. Couldn't get 40 mile an hour out of it before, and I was knocking on the door of 70 on that 70 mile an hour stretch. The live data is still not doing anything. But there's another part here, RZ036 particle filter relative pressure sensor, and I've sent an erase code to that. And I'll send another erase code to this, and again it just flies back on. Very frustrating. Let down by technology again. So this is my thing, which you've been staring at for the majority of this video, and it can't necessarily do everything that the better, more expensive ones can. So for example, there's, I don't know if you can see this, there's erase codes, and then there's erase down here, and when you click on that it comes up with the particle filter relative pressure sensor. Now, now because mine is the cheaper one, because I don't really tend to do this sort of stuff, I do old minis and things, you know, I can't do anything with that. So I booked it in on Friday with the garage that did the MOT originally, and he says now that those lights are off and you've only got the orange spanner, you can pass the MOT with that anyway, and just put that as an advisory, which is brilliant news because the car's driving nicely enough. So we have potentially got it through its test there for, I don't know, 250 quid or something like that, which is great. But I have asked him to try and hook his machine up and to see what he can do, to see if he can get those lights permanently off the dash and just make sure everything's spot on, you know, that I've done. Because I ain't no expert, but hopefully we've just saved a mega amount of money. So yeah, I'm going to stick it on the trailer, which is there, take it back to my mum. She can drop it off on Friday, and then yeah, hopefully we'll get a thumbs up from them, or a pass test, and sort of codes gone, but I will let you know.
Well, here I am, thanks to Ben, my wonderful son. It's passed its MOT, yay! It's been ages and I'm glad to get the car back, but here I am.
It's like 24 degrees in October. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? So there we go. Car's done, mum's happy, mobile again. Yeah, we fixed it for 800 quid as opposed to sort of 2.5 grand, which is a big old chunk of change where I come from. And yeah, she's now very, very pleased. So essentially what happened was that we took it back down to the garage and they used their very, very expensive multiple £1,000 snap-on bit of equipment to, I'm going to try and remember what he told me, because this is a little bit over my head, all this stuff, to be honest. It's not massively my thing, but this is, I think, what he was getting at. All the sensors surrounding the DPF and the ECU that was, you know, that controls it all, needed to be told that it had brand new components all around, so it would reset and relearn itself and all that sort of stuff, and the lights would stay off, because it couldn't agree to that one sensor reading that wasn't moving. It was like it was stuck, so it needed to be completely reset so they all started to match up again. And it was it's not as straightforward as that probably makes it sound. The snap-on bit of equipment that they use has built in some like support, so plugged it in, didn't exactly do what it wanted to do, so went through the support, and the support showed them what to reset in sort of sequence or whatever to make that work again. Did all that and it worked, and the light went off and it stayed off, and the car's got an MOT. Great, dead happy with that. And 1,800 quid cheaper than it would have been, or is that right, good maths? 1,700 quid cheaper than it would have been if we'd have just stuck a brand new DPF filter on it. And he said even then, if we had just stuck a brand new DPF filter on it, the sensors wouldn't have been new, so we might have still had issues, we might have still had to go down that road anyway, so it might have ended up being more than 2.5 grand. But yeah, dead good, that's boxed off, and the old dear is happy. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's something a little bit different. I enjoyed doing it. It just get a man's dirty on an old, you know, diesely sort of thing, like a bit mad. Renault as well, bit stressful, but yeah, it was a bit of fun. And I've just been able to sort of do these bits while I'm doing these other, you know, videos. Got this nice long one coming out, the last one on the MRT, which will be out soon. Yeah, I think I'll see you then for it. Okay, bye.